I hate this phrase of toxic masculinity, but I think masculine men have the power to love, that they have a deep courage where they place others above themselves, and that they live a life of sacrifice and service.
I'm not a parent, so I can't tell you how to be a parent, but I can tell you from a son's perspective what kept me around. One was the ability to apologize when they made mistakes, the destroying of the false pretense that parents know everything and kids don't. They had a life and a mission and a passion and a purpose, and they invited me along.
What we don't realize is that as we've tried to elevate women, we were not just elevating women, we were actually depressing men. And the problem is that if you're going to help women become more and more talented and more intelligent and more empowered, and then you're not in a parallel building greater men, you don't have men for those women.
You are listening to the Mindshift podcast. My name is Erwin McManus, and I'm here with my dad, Erwin McManus. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. All right, let's dive in.
Okay, no. But before we go, this is our second community call with our Mindshift online community. Hey guys, we just want to welcome you. How are you guys doing today? Can you guys like a little wave in the box or something? Let us know. Give us a sign of life. Amazing. Okay, guys. Well, we're gonna dive right into the Q&A. Very, very exciting. iPhone 5. I have no idea who you are, and so here are the only ground rules. One, it has to be a question. Two, one question at a time, so you only get one question. And three, usually this is for live, I reserve the right to mute you. If you are being weird, I will mute you so fast. It's over. Okay, so with that said, iPhone 5, I have no idea who you are. State your name. Oh, you got to turn your video on so we can ask you the question. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm grateful to be here. My question for you, Erwin, is I've listened to your 3-2-1 productivity process, and that's fascinating. But I'm curious, when you have a lot of creative projects, which I do, how do you prioritize which ones get those two focuses first when there are so many different things that I need to be working on a given day, but I only have a finite amount of energy?
Yeah, normally what I would say is start with the project that you want to do least.
Okay.
Because if you start with the project you want to do most, you won't have energy for the one you want to do least. But if you start with the one you want to do least, it's amazing how you find energy for the one you've been waiting to do because it's the one you want to do most. So, try not to live a life of obligation, but whichever one feels more like obligation rather than opportunity, start there. Give it all your energy. You'll move through it faster. And your dessert, your reward, are the projects that you really want to take on.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Daniel. Okay. Well, that was our one question. It was a wonderful episode. I hope you guys have a great day. No. Hey, so Dad, a couple of things. We were in Miami. Oh, do we have a question?
Here we go. Sharon is there.
Sharon, how you doing? Oh, here we go. Now you guys we got brave.
We got iPhone 5 back too.
Oh, we got iPhone 5. Okay, okay, there we go. iPhone 5, you let me know when you're ready and I'll jump to you after Sharon. Hey Sharon, how you doing? Let us know where you're from.
I'm from Fontana, California, and I'm also a part of the arena. And nice to see you guys. So I saw that the topic for today was about compatibility. So I was trying to think of what kind of question I would bring up, but specifically, how do you gauge or how do you establish compatibility when it comes to like a team that maybe you inherit or like it's volunteers? It could be in a church space or in a professional organization. How important is, or how would you establish compatibility, especially if it's people you haven't necessarily chosen to be your team, but how do you establish or gauge that to start off on the right foot when leading that team?
Yeah. Compatibility is usually a functional term that replaces likability. And when someone is likable, it's amazing how quickly they become compatible. When you don't find yourself liking someone, it's amazing how they feel uncompatible. So what I would say to begin with is begin by trying to be incredibly likable. Because the moment you're likable, but by the way, one of the ways, the secrets to being likable is like the people. If you like the people on your team, if you like the people you work with, they're just going to automatically begin to like you too. It doesn't always work, but it's a good rule of thumb. And as you like them, you're going to find the compatibility. So it's almost as if the same human being can become compatible as you like them more and as they like you more, because both of you become more adaptive. Likability increases adaptability. When you like someone, you become more adaptable to that person. When you don't like someone, you become more rigid and unadaptable. And so I think a huge part of compatibility is connected to the process of likability. And so just start there and go, okay, if I have people on my team that are, I just feel like they're not compatible at all, go, okay, my first goal is not to be compatible. It's going to be actually to be likable and to find likable things about them. And as I like them more, I'm going to find the places where they're actually really compatible with the team.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Aaron, we lost you. You are muted.
iPhone 5, how you doing?
Can you hear me now?
Yep. What's your name?
Mark, I'm so sorry. It's my phone. I don't know.
No, Zoom is so much different on the phone. No
Yeah, but
apologies
it's
necessary.
because you have an iPhone 5. You need to upgrade.
No, don't do it.
I'm
Stay with
sorry.
iPhone 5. What's up, man? Talk to us.
So I think we all face individual battles in life. And for Erwin and you, Aaron, too, I admire what seems to me this calm essence that you guys carry through the fires in life, and not a pun with the LA fires, but just any battles. And I just wonder what that ingredient is, if there is an ingredient that keeps you walking with like this calm essence through all the negative forces that you guys deal with.
That's a great question, but tell me your name and where you live.
Oh, my name is Mark Carroll, and I'm from New Jersey.
That's awesome, Mark. And are people in New Jersey likable?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's great. Aaron, you want to take that on? How do you stay calm in the crisis of life out here?
A couple of things. I mean, one, I think community really helps. I think having a relationship with Jesus, I'm a follower of Jesus, and it's really been a core, huge factor in my life, right? It's something I've wrestled with. It's something I've fought with. It's something that I engage with on a daily basis. I know I can tell when I'm close to God or when I feel close and strong in my faith, and those moments where I don't feel close. And I think, having great community, both inside the church and outside of it, has been really helpful. Having a relationship with my dad has been really helpful. Having people who have been able to speak into my life and give feedback when I'm not okay. And then also give feedback when I feel like I'm doing the best that I've ever done. And they can go, hey, I think you could get a little better at this, or I think you could follow up a little bit better, or I think you could respond a little bit better, or be a little bit more calm. And I think those people, I used to have a joke with one of my like really, really good friends, kind of Eric, who is a very fiery, feisty businessman who absolutely kills it in his field and came from a pretty volatile sales environment. And, we would talk about this internal dial that oftentimes with our types of personalities, we can live in that like 100. We can always be at that 100 level of volume. And that's really exhausting for the people around us. So I think for us, it was about how do we continually grow in strength and calm, but stay with that same level of high excitement and rigor for life. So I think it was that, right? When we were younger, I think we were crashing out at level 100. And as we get older, it's just this, I think, being more comfortable with who we are and who God's created us to be, and also the community around us being the gauge of if we're being successful in that calm or not. That's my answer. But Dad, what do you think?
I love that. Maybe I would just add to that if you want,
just give your own answer.
Yeah. I think that I have two anchors that are virtues that keep me calm. And the more I dive into them in my own personal life, the calmer I am in middle of crisis. And they are humility and gratitude. When I'm ungrateful, everything can set me off. And when I'm prideful, everything can set me off. But when I'm actually walking in humility and in gratefulness, it's impossible to move me off my calm. I feel like humility and gratitude are like these anchors that just they just center you in life, no matter what's coming your way. because the thing with crisis is that it doesn't ever send a warning. There are no warning shots. It just comes at you. So here's the key. Because the crises in life come without warning, you don't get to prepare for them. You get to discover who you are. So if you start working on gratitude and humility when you're in crisis, it's too late. Mm-hmm. If you work on humility and gratitude when life is good and you're doing well, and you can be arrogant and ungrateful and get away with it, when you actually build it during those times, the storms and the crisis and the turbulent waters of life cannot shake you. That's what I think is the core.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Mark from Jersey. Oh, I love the new name change. Dad, it's such a better answer than mine. But the one thing you talked about being grateful. I think one other thing is like acts of service, right? Is like one of those. This book, Unreasonable Hospitality, is focused around how to in the service industry. It's from an author named Will Guidara. It's a big yellow book. It's a beautiful story about his relationship with his dad and his relationship with the service industry. One thing that I really pulled from that was that I think the when I'm least calm is when I'm most focused on myself, and when I'm focused on the people around me and actually being of service to others. That's the most, I think, at least for me, Dad, when I'm complaining to you about life, whatever's happening, so many times you point me back into keeping like focus on what I'm actually bringing to the world and bringing to other people around me, not just what I'm trying to achieve for myself or for us. But yeah, I had
That's
that.
good. I love that.
Okay, we got
a bunch of hands now, Aaron.
A bunch of hands now.
They flipped up on you.
Hey, Serena, how you doing? Oh, hey, you got to unmute yourself. Sorry.
No,
That's okay. I'm getting good at lip reading.
Okay. We can do that. I can go on mute. No, hey guys, from Charlotte here. No, my question is actually maybe for both of you. So as high performers, but also creatives, how do you get to a place when you know that the project or what you've worked on is good enough and you're okay to move on to the next, or you need to stay kind of tweaking what you're working on?
Aaron.
Hold on, can you ask that first part again? I was trying to solve a problem with Austin over here.
How do you know when a project's good enough, or when you just have to keep tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and then 2 years later you're still tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and it's going to be the most incredible collection in the world because it's.
Hey, Serena, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. It's the rain. How much did he pay you to ask that question is what I would like to know. He's referring to Ghost Artifacts, which is our clothing line that I'm wearing right now, but that we haven't released and has been sitting in my house for the last 18 months. How do you know when to go?
First of all, this is why deadlines are not your enemy. They're a gift from God.
Yeah, Dad, I'm gonna let you answer it because I don't have a great answer. I know how to avoid it. I know how to not do it. I know how to run from it. But Dad, you give that answer. You're a high action person.
Yeah, there's several things that are going to be true. One of them is that if you keep tweaking, eventually you're making it worse, not better. Okay. And you need to stop tweaking the moment you've lost like that high level of passion, because now you're not tweaking out of creativity, you're tweaking out of compulsion and fear. And you're using tweaking as an excuse from action. And so you have to give yourself, look, I would have never published a single book if I thought that the book had to be ready. The book had to be perfect. I've never released a perfect book. I've never released a ready book. I have to give birth to that baby and hope it breathes oxygen and comes to life on its own in some sense. And you just have to know that the very best things humans produce can always be better. And but the people who really make the difference are the ones who move toward action and execute at a high level, but are not perfectionists. So go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
I heard this great quote, and I'm so sorry, I don't know who said it. It was a founder, and I don't remember who it was, but he said, if you're not embarrassed by your first version of the product you released, then you waited too long to release it.
Okay.
And that haunts me
Mhm.
because never.
I'm sweating. Okay.
Yeah. But I thought it was a great, it was a great, I think, distinction or line in the sand going, there's dreamers and then there's entrepreneurs, right? There's people who think about doing it and there's people who actually do it. And the difference is how willing are you to release something that is still in progress and then listen to the community and how to make it better.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Rena. Hey, Jay, how you doing?
Hey guys, how are y'all? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Gary, great.
Jay Mayo from Texas. And my question is, with regard to the 7 frequencies, how can they create greater maybe relational intimacy in marriage or family relationships?
So many ways, Jay, and we don't have the content out to the world yet, but some of the biggest questions I've been getting in different consulting environments is on that. But I think some of it is sitting down with your spouse, talking through the communication frequency differences, and even just playfully talking about how you hear, let's say, if your wife is commander and you're a motivator, whatever, that's like sunshine and rain. It's like,
Right.
and
Yeah.
or if one, I just met with a couple, they're actually both healers and both commanders, so they're healer commanders, and but their approach toward it was uniquely different, and because they both will use more commander because they've been together so long, and they use healer for everyone else.
Yeah.
And so some of it is sitting down going, okay, how do you think this is interplaying, and asking your wife, how do you hear this frequency from me? Can you give me some practical examples of when you feel like I've used this frequency the right way, or when I've used it in a way that was harder for you to hear me? Because there's not necessarily a right and wrong way unless you're in your shadow, okay? But there is an effective and ineffective way. And so it's like you want to make sure that you're using that frequency in a way that effectively communicates to your spouse. And my wife just called me from Nigeria today, and I had her on speakerphone. I was with my daughter Mariah, and she said, "Make sure you unlock the door because the carpenter's coming today." She calls me from across the world. That is her opening line. In fact, that's her closing line. And I looked at Mariah and said, "That's the way she says, 'I miss you so much, I can hardly take it.'"
Yeah.
And, so some of it is interpreting it and saying, "This is how I interpret you," or "This is what I hear," and they go, "But this is what I mean," and learn how to hear the meaning behind the words.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Jay. Appreciate that. Hey, Steph, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I have a question, Erwin, specifically for you, because somebody mentioned that you are a Seer Maven in your top 3. Is that correct?
I'm a Maven, Seer. Yeah.
Maven, okay. Mine is Seer, Motivator, Maven. And my question is about like communicating with family specifically. So, my family and it's my family, my late husband's family, we do this Zoom every Sunday. And it's not so much like a hangout, it's more like a grow together, learn each other, get authentic kind of thing. And I'll present like my seer visions to them and they'll go. And we've done it enough times where it's like built up a trust where they're like, okay, I know that when Steph suggests something, it goes really well for us. So we're just going to jump right in. But when it comes to my personal life, like if I'm bringing up something that like a vision I have for my personal life, that's kind of like grand and out there, they tend to want to just suppress it and make it more like reasonable in their eyes. And I brought this up in the group. I got a lot of really good thinking points, and I've actually already like taken action on a lot of it. But my question for you is, how do you, as like a seer maven, like when you bring a vision to your family, like do you have any tips on that or anything that you know like works really well?
Yeah, I never bring a vision to my family. uh, if you're a seer, motivator, and then a maven, your great danger is you're always in the clouds. You're always dreaming, and so your family probably doesn't necessarily take it seriously because they're like, maybe she will, maybe she won't. And what I try to do is I try to tell my family what I'm going to do next, like now, like this week, this month. And so, you know, during the pandemic, I started a fashion company, and at that time, nobody was really for it, except for me. And but I woke up and I said to my wife, Kim, I'm starting a fashion company today. I didn't say I'm thinking about doing this and dream this, what's going to look like this, what the future is going to be. I said I'm starting a fashion company today. People are depressed. The quarantine has really crushed people, and I feel like if I start a new entrepreneurial adventure, it will inspire people and help other people start things too. And so I knew, and then I texted Aaron and I said, hey, I'm starting a fashion company again. And Aaron's like, Dad, do you think that's a good idea at that time?
Please, no, I said it's not a good idea. Please don't.
Yeah, that was more what he said.
Please, God, no.
And so you have to realize that most of your family, they don't really want the big picture, the big dream, the big idea. And so you should probably come in and go, this is what I'm going to do this month. Like break your vision down into tactics and logistics. Mm-hmm. And if you're sharing with them, if because you want them to be involved, saying this is how you can be involved. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you don't want them to be involved, you go, I'm just sharing with you guys so you guys can pray for me, or you guys can cheer me on, you know, and whatever, however your family's structured. But just when you have a seer motivator, you kind of, every idea feels to you like it's going to really be your future.
Yeah.
Right. You know, everyone feels so, they all feel so real. And then a month later, you realize, that was harder than I thought. Or, you know, I didn't realize that would take $5 million, you know, and, you know, so maybe I'll push back on that one, try something. And you're redirecting, and you don't see yourself as changing your mind at all. Hmm. You see yourself, I'm just surfing the future. Like, this is just how I navigate vision. And I'm always encouraged, and I really believe that this is going to happen. And so I think with your family, just realizing you can share your big vision, but if you share it every week, it's too much. Hmm. Okay, you know, it's like it's way too much dessert and not enough meat and potatoes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I love Seer, Motivator, Maven, so I think you're awesome.
Hey, thanks, Steph. Appreciate it. Abhilash, how you doing, man?
Oh, you're still muted, my friend.
Oh, hi, how are you?
I'm good.
I just want to say I have absolutely loved reading the 7 frequencies. Out of all the books that you have written, I think this is the book, Genius of Jesus. I think I thought about it for a solid month and it was great. But 7 frequencies, after reading it, I have watched every single talk that you've given. I've been marinating in it. It's been fantastic, to say the absolute least. My question is, how do you be friends? So I love the relationship you have in terms of compatibility. I love the relationship you and Aaron share. And it's amazing, you you obviously have a 30-year difference. You know everything about each other. So I have 2 kids who are, this one is 2 and the other one is 5. What should I do? What should me and my wife do to have a relationship with them? Basically how you and your son have when they are, later on in life. And yeah.
Well, I mean, I just locked him in the closet for 10 years and slept food under the door. It worked for us. I think one of the things is, one of the differences for me would be a lot of parents, I think it's almost like it can be one of multiple expressions. There's some parents who just want their kids to be interested in what they're interested in. And so they try to guide their kids to be whatever, doctors or lawyers, whatever they want them to be. And then there's other parents, they're almost like the sports parents, where they want their kid to excel in whatever world they need that affirmation. So like they got the kid playing soccer or playing baseball, but it's really not so much for the kid as it is you're almost like living out your own ego out of your kid's success. And I think that what worked for at least I feel like for me was I really liked my kids as human beings, and I was genuinely interested in what they were interested in. And Aaron was tougher. Like he would go from one sport to another sport to another sport to another sport, and I tried to say, hey, you could hang in here for like a year or or two, but he always his interest was exploring new things and trying new things, and so we just went through that experience together. Mariah was completely uninterested in sports, so I didn't try to force her to do that, but she was fascinated with music, so I bought every instrument. And Aaron really loved music, so I bought every instrument and just put them in the house. So I just tried to give them a lot of opportunities to discover what they were interested in, and then enjoyed them in their interests. And you have to remember that children, that's like a sociological phrase for human. And if you're not good at human relationships, you will not be good at parenting. And so it's really important to learn how to have relationships with adults. It will actually help you know how to have a healthy relationship with your children. And as they grow, you have to be comfortable with their autonomy, where you're not telling them what to do, but you're coaching them through it, you're mentoring, and sometimes you're negotiating. But you want to give them enough freedom to expand their own strengths and their own abilities. And so I almost never told my kids what to do. I just asked them a lot of questions so they could decide. And then sometimes they would just say to me, Dad, just tell me what to do. But I would rather have a kid go, tell me what to do, rather than a kid that's like, stop telling me what to do. In my mind, if I give you the answers, I make you weaker. If I give you the questions, I give you the tools to make decisions. And that's the way I kind of approached it. And I do think Aaron and I have a rare and unique friendship that I'm really grateful for. And I don't think you can find it many places in the world.
Okay. I think a couple of things. I think it was the invitation into their life. It wasn't a demand for their life. And I think one thing that can happen, and I listened to a great clip on this recently talking about travel ball and the world of sports, but really I think there's like with I'm not a parent, so I can't tell you how to be a parent, but I can tell you from a son's perspective what kept me around. One was the willingness to admit when they were wrong, the ability to apologize when they made mistakes, the destroying of the false pretense that parents know everything and kids don't. So this like level of mutual curiosity. My parents were curious about me and they let me be curious about them. Oftentimes they sat me down in their work situations and let me just listen. And so it gave me like a huge curiosity and a realization that the world was much bigger than the little classroom that I was in. And then just this invitation to be with them in their life. I traveled with my dad, so it gave me this huge imagination of what the world could look like, exposure to other cultures, diversity for us, that was huge. And I think that was probably for me, that was the number one thing. It was an invitation into their life. And so as a young kid, there were times where I wanted to carve out my own thing, but I also realized that like I got to be around adults, and that for me was so exciting. That for me, living with parents who were passionate about what they were doing in life was exciting for me, because it wasn't me looking at them going, they're building their entire world around me. It was they had a life and a mission and a passion and a purpose, and they invited me along. And if there were times where I was not interested at all, it was called college. And they just checked in once a month or once a week. They were always just willing to like let me kind of determine the proximity and the pace of that relationship at times. And then there were times where they really invited me in a lot. So I think that is to start with the invitation, start with curiosity. I think that would be really helpful. I think that's a great question. Thanks, man. Hey, Maddie, how you doing?
Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
So good.
Good. Okay, so last time I was on a call, it was like the frequencies one, and I had told you mine are healer, Maven, Seer, And I was in the middle of transitioning from a corporate job to now being a music director at a church. And when I was at that corporate job, all I could think about was like, oh, I just can't wait to be creative. I can't wait to do what I feel like, I want to do, being involved at church. But now that I'm in it, I'm realizing I'm having trouble like staying awake to those creative like inspirations and all of that. And I'm just curious if either of you have ever felt that, and if like it's almost like it doesn't make sense that it's harder to find that. I would think it would be easier, but I don't know, just like how do you stay awake to those like creativity, all that?
When you say awake, what do you mean?
Like I'm almost, so the culture of this church is like a lot of them are old friends that I've known for a while, and it's almost like we've slipped into more of just hanging out, and I feel like I've lost that initial sense of inspiration. Sorry, I'm watching my nephew right now. Just like that, being aware of what the Spirit's doing and what I feel like I'm led to do. I feel like it's just hard getting caught up in just being with people you've known for a long time.
Maddie, I don't know if you remember this. In fact, afterwards, Aaron, we had a pretty serious conversation because I probably overstepped how much I coached you. And because I told you it wasn't going to go well. And Aaron says, hey, you can't go across that line. And he was right. And I didn't mean it wasn't what you should do. I was trying to tell you it's not what you think. And that it's going to be a hard fit for you. And you're going to be dissatisfied very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Why is that, Dad? Context.
And well, I mean, I walked you through this last time.
A quick context. We have to keep going.
Because you're a Maven, you're going to want to do things outside of the norm. You're an outlier, and everyone actually wants you to do what they already decided should be done. And so they really just want you to come to fit in and be really awesome in the middle of the box. And you wanted to go in there and create a new box, right?
Yeah.
And so it's boring to you because you don't get to actually be inventive.
Yeah.
And I would say this, my biggest thing that I've witnessed with Mavens, I think I can share this, Dad, is that getting bored of the box is probably the biggest miss. Like, just conquer the box. Become the best. Make it your box. Become so good and gorilla-like that it becomes your box, that no one is better than you in that box. You have to dominate the box. And then you can only create the new box by either starting completely fresh or brand new on your own from ground zero, or by owning that box from the inside and going, you know what, guys, I have a great idea. This box is going so well. I'm going to create another box.
He's 100% right, Maddie. You need to do it exactly the way he just told you.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Maddie. And all the nephews. Hey, Carol, how you doing?
Hi, good. How are you doing?
Okay.
So I have I guess I would like to know your perspective or your thoughts on the way people think. So I've noticed that people have really strong opinions on things like politics or, whatever the conversation is.
Are you talking about us?
Yes. No. So I want to get Erwin's perspective because I know Aaron's going to tell me to just fight them, which is what I want to do because I'm a commander. I just want to be aggressive and respond. And I'm a commander, professor, challenger. So to me, it's so important to spit facts. And when I'm more in a public setting, I understand that it's important to not be so aggressive. So I want to get an idea of why do people think the way that they do when you have an opinion on a certain subject and they just attack you and they fit you in a box. Like, for example, like if you say, I like Trump or I voted for Trump, they're like, oh, you're a racist and you're this and you don't like immigrants. And they just go on this crazy, like exaggerated opinion of you. And then you just want to be educated. When someone says, well, you illegal immigrants come in the legal way. You're like, are you educated behind what it takes to come here? Do you know that you have to fit in these boxes? And some people don't. They would love to go a certain way, if there was a way for certain people. It's just different opinions on different subjects. So why are people so aggressive when it comes to that in general?
Well,
and how do you respond?
What, Aaron?
For it, Dad. She told me I would only give one opinion. So
what was your opinion?
Now she's a racist. So
Yeah.
I'm muting myself. You can answer this.
Well, I think usually when people attack, it's for one of several reasons. One is that they're filled with fear. And so they see people who disagree with them as a danger to the world they want. And so I just try to remind myself, oh, this person's coming across angry, but really what they are is they're afraid. So it allows me to not respond with the same level of anger because I don't have the same level of fear. And second reason is sometimes they're, and I mean this like, in the way the word is used, they're ignorant. And they have a very limited scope of either intelligence or information or experience. And so they don't know how to think in a dialectic. They don't know how to think in competing ideas and perspectives. And the third reason is that's how they were raised. And so they actually think that everyone who's right, everyone who's good sees it exactly the way they see it. And Carol, our society has become more and more like that. If you can't win an idea, you attack the person. And so, usually it's, if you're conservative and you don't like a liberal idea, then attack the idea, but don't attack the people. And if you're a liberal and you don't like conservative ideas, attack the idea, but don't attack the people. I watched Anderson Cooper actually use a profane word this week, calling someone else a male part of the body on television because the guy disagreed with him. And what you could feel is like he was so frustrated because he couldn't have the idea that won that conversation that he just attacked. And evidently the guy's his friend. The guy went out publicly, goes, "I'm not offended. He's a great guy. We've been friends for a long time." It's what happens in the world of ideas. If your idea is losing, you attack people. And so you just need to understand the moment someone's attacking you, it's because they feel like their ideas are being lost. And so they have to attack another person. Don't take it too personally.
Would you recommend to respond with like your facts or an educated response?
No, I can't remember who it was, but it's an ancient Greek philosopher who basically says that if you argue with a fool, you become one.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Carol. Gabriella, how you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. What about you?
So good.
I'm in Colombia, very far, but I've been a fan since Battle Ready days.
That's amazing.
My question goes a little bit way back, on a throwback. So two things that marked my life from Erwin and all the things that you guys have created is the first one is I discovered you made these short films that they were different names in YouTube, and I was like, this is really interesting. And I was just start picking them and just discovering them, and I was like, this guy is something else. I was just telling myself that, besides a fashion designer, besides a lot of things. But then I read a book that you wrote. It's called The Artisan Soul, and that just put a before and after in my life. But it makes me wonder now, like if filmmaking, if you were given the opportunity again, is that still on the table for you? Can you produce a movie out of your life? Will you be down for that? Like, can you do that again? Can you make short films again? Because there is...
your question? I'll answer this one. Absolutely not. He's busy. He ain't giving me what I need him to give me. He's busy for the next 10 years. He locked up.
Gabriella,
he put me in, he's in it now.
I think about making movies every single day of my life.
Okay, give her a real answer, Dad.
That is the answer. I think about making a movie every single day. And I love making movies. I love telling stories visually. I was creating short films on a broad spectrum before they were a common thing. And I literally today I was thinking to myself, I created a genre that now is common that people don't even know that I started. And if you go back 30 years to some of the stuff we did, it was so futuristic and so cutting edge, and better than stuff I'm creating now in many ways. And I love doing it. And so maybe one day, I'm hoping in my 70s I get to direct films again.
What do you think is better 10 years ago than what we're doing now?
Well, I'm not creating shorts anymore.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. You got really successful and then they got busy. Hey, Mateo, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you,
How
Mateo.
you doing, man?
Thank you for your time and the opportunity of being here with you both. And my question is, I feel like over the last years, being a man became a problem in a certain way for the society. So I wanted to ask you if you can give us a healthy perspective on masculinity.
You know what, Mateo? I'm going to do a series of clips on masculinity. And
Awesome.
I meant to do them today, but I felt I was just too tired from flying in from Mexico. Masculinity is a really important subject for me. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a very masculine person. and it's something that's important to me. It's not incidental. And I used to lead these events called man camps, and then they called Highlander. And for many, many years, even when I was working with the urban poor, the unique thing about the churches I started was that they were 70% male. And most churches across the world are like dominantly female. And what we don't realize is that as we tried to elevate women, we were not just elevating women, we were actually depressing men. And the problem is that if you're going to help women become more and more talented and more intelligent and more empowered and more economically free, and then you're not in a parallel building greater men, you don't have men for those women because, those men are too intimidated by the women because they didn't grow up and become men. And I hate this phrase of toxic masculinity. We never talk about toxic femininity. And yet, what are Beverly Hills Housewives? What are all those series of reality TV shows are around toxic femininity, but no one's allowed to use that phrase. You know why? Because people like femininity, but they hate masculinity. So, Mateo, I have this clip that I actually love, and I reposted it today, that I think masculine men have the power to love, that they have a deep courage where they place others above themselves, and that they live a life of sacrifice and service. And I believe in things like honor and nobility and enlightenment, and that these are the virtues that men are supposed to carry in their life. And I hope that over the next, few years, I can actually become like a clarion voice for manhood, so that young men, young boys, and men across, the country can actually find confidence in their masculinity rather than remaining boys. And one of the great challenges in our culture is that historically, cultures had rite of passages where boys became men. And our culture has no rite of passage for boys to become men. And so we think the way you become a man is to get drunk, have sex, whatever, make money, have a Lamborghini. And what ends up happening is that boys just grow into adults and act like children with bigger toys. And we have to create moments where men own their masculinity and their responsibility. So that's my answer to that. Yeah. Here, we have to ask Jorge because he's got a great smile.
Hey, Mateo, thank you so much for that question. We're going to give Wayne and Jorge the last two questions of the evening. Thanks, guys, for hanging in there with us. Really appreciate that. Mateo, I pinged you, but it's from Austin's account, so I'll shoot you a message from my personal. Appreciate that question. We definitely want to get more into masculinity. It's something we talk about a lot behind the scenes. Hey, Wayne, how you doing?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for doing the call. So Motivator's my top frequency. I've got some things that I'm dreaming about doing coming up that I know I need to probably lean into social media a little bit as a tool to help promote it and those kinds of things. but it also feels like social media is somehow like finely tuned to really play into and highlight the performer side of the shadow frequency. And so I can already sense some hesitation and some resistance to like what do I do with that? And I'm just curious if you have any thoughts or insights on, because I wouldn't, like my friends who are alcoholics, I wouldn't say, hey, why don't you go to the bar and like, try to help people there? Like that sounds like a bad idea. So I'm just trying to wrestle through that. Yeah.
Wait, if it's any consolation, everyone becomes a little more of a performer when the camera goes on. It's just the weirdest thing. When Aaron first started having me do social media, the moment you go, okay, Dad, now post this, say this for Instagram. That moment, I would just like become a robot. And he goes, no, Dad, I just need you to be yourself. And it's almost like, all right, go. And then I was something else. Unfortunately, I don't have that performer quality, so it was really bad. So I think some of it is we all care about what people think about us, and we all want to be liked and accepted. But if you can just remember two things: one, authenticity sells. Authenticity translates. And the second thing is talk to someone you love. Don't talk to the camera. And so when you're doing your stuff, just pick someone that needs what you're about to share, or needs to come to the event you're doing, or needs to be a part of what you're doing, and talk to them and forget the camera's there. Awesome.
Love that. And honestly, social media is just something that's not going away. And I don't think it's the equivalent to the bar, because I think you could always film it on your camera. Like, Dad, half the time you're filming on your story and then sending it to us. And you're like, post this, do all the things, the captions, the tags, whatever you need. I think there's ways of creating a healthy relationship with social media, limiting the time on your phone, having someone else operate that, someone else posting for you. Don't answer DMs. I don't like, there's different ways of doing that. And I think just, Dad, it took you a few months of using social media regularly on a daily basis to kind of find that natural tone that felt more calm and collected for social media.
And now I love talking to people.
Hey, Jorge, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
So good.
Appreciate the small comment. I'm digging the white beard, man. It looks awesome.
It's the only one I got.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I don't have my black option.
Yeah, don't dye it. Leave it alone. You said in a podcast a long time ago, and I don't think I have a lot of time to go into context, but you mentioned there came a time where you were trying as a pastor, and trying to figure out what was the next thing or whatever, and you just had to choose you, and then you started your own church. How did you get to that space of going like, hey, enough is enough. I'm just gonna, nothing's I don't fit in any mold. I'm just gonna go out and do it. I guess, how did you get to that space? Because
well, every church I've been a part of, I started basically.
Okay.
So even when I was 24 and 23 and 22, yeah. So I think some of it for me is an intersection of non-negotiables. So I came to an intersection of non-negotiables. I had a life-changing experience with Jesus, so that became a non-negotiable for me. I believe Jesus had a value for creating the church, and so that became a non-negotiable for me. I didn't fit into the church at all, and so even though it was a negotiable, I could stay, but I didn't really think they wanted me to. So it was easier for the churches I went to for me not to be there than for me to be there. And so it felt like the non-negotiable for me was, if I was going to ever be a part of a community that could accept me as a human being and could accept my friends as they are, I would have to create it. And that really is for me the way I process things. And since you asked it from a faith perspective, I would pray two things. I'd say, God, I want to do either what no one else will do or what no one else can do. And it was always like a really easy filter for me, because I go, oh yeah, other people can do that and other people want to do that. So even though I could be really successful at that. That didn't feel like my particular intention in life. I would always look, what is it that either no one else can do or no one else will do? And it has been those have been great drivers for me. They have created a very, very strong compass of due north for me. And so, those might not be yours, but you need to find yours.
Right.
Does that make sense? And then
it does. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting so long, Maria. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I arrived late, but I figured I'd raise my hand anyway, just in case.
Where are you based, Jorge?
Where's home for you?
Hold on, I gotta ask. There you go. Can you mute yourself real quick?
Unmute yourself.
I'm about 45 minutes northeast of Atlanta.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, man, Aaron, we're 20 minutes past.
We are. Guys, thank you so much for jumping on here. We appreciate it. I hope this brought some value to you. As we keep engaging on the community elements of this, we would love to hear like more of the topics you'd love to hear on Mindshift, politics, faith, leadership, masculinity, any of those things. Just drop them on the community board and let us know. We would love to hear from you guys. And Dad, thank you so much for doing this with me. I know you're exhausted. I know we've had a crazy week from doing weddings to doing like coaching and counseling and all the things. Thanks for always having a little bit of extra time for this community. We love you guys. Really appreciate it.
And I would love to invite everyone in our community to be our evangelists, to get the word out, to get other people to join. Let's get this community to 1,000 people and have a conversation with people all over the world. Isn't it fun to have Colombia and to have Europe and to have Australia and Asia? And let's just connect this across the nation, across the world, and build this beautiful community together.
Love you guys. Talk soon.
Take care.